Trump's Venezuela gambit, oil wars, and economic turbulence in December 2024. The White House announcement shook global energy markets. Donald Trump declared what he called the largest naval blockade in history against Venezuela, seizing an oil tanker and deploying 11 warships to South American waters. This dramatic move raises serious questions about what's really happening beneath the surface. The Venezuela blockade. On December 18, 2024, President Trump escalated his Venezuela policy to unprecedented levels. In a social media statement on Tuesday, he announced a complete and total blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers entering or leaving Venezuela. According to Trump, Venezuela is completely surrounded by the largest armada in South American history. The most shocking element was Trump's explicit statement about reclaiming what he called stolen oil, land, and assets. This rhetoric alarmed many international law experts. Seizing the skipper last week, U.S. Coast Guard forces raided an oil tanker named Skipper off Venezuela's coast. The vessel, previously subject to a federal court seizure order due to alleged connections with Iran-backed terror groups, was transporting petroleum from Venezuela to Cuba. Attorney General Pam Bondi shared footage of U.S. personnel rappelling onto the ship from helicopters. Trump confirmed the operation, telling reporters it was seized for very good reason. When asked about the oil on board, he replied, "I think we keep it." Venezuela's government called the action international piracy. Trump's move connects to 2007, when Hugo Chavez nationalized oil fields, seizing assets from ExxonMobil, Chevron, and ConocoPhillips. Trump now explicitly states he wants to take them back. Economic priorities and national address. Wednesday evening, Trump delivered a national address from the White House that resembled a campaign rally more than a traditional presidential speech. Speaking loudly from the diplomatic reception room, he focused heavily on economic issues. Military bonus announcement, the most concrete outcome, was a $1,776 warrior dividend for 1.5 million service members before Christmas. The figure references America's founding year of 1776. Trump stated the checks were already on the way. However, polling data reveals troubling numbers. Trump's approval rating has dropped to 39%, and satisfaction with his economic policies sits at a historic low of 36%. Inherited a mess. Trump opened his speech declaring, "I inherited a mess 11 months ago and I'm fixing it." He blamed all economic problems on his predecessor Joe Biden, claiming to have brought more positive change to Washington than any administration in American history. Reality tells a different story. Trump's unilateral tariffs are driving up consumer prices, as Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell confirmed last week. Powell noted that inflation is rising only in goods sectors, entirely in the sectors where the tariffs are. The paradox is clear. Trump credits tariffs as his main economic achievement, yet these same tariffs are fueling inflation and reducing purchasing power. Political developments, FBI changes. Dan Bongino, the former conservative podcast host Trump appointed as FBI Deputy Director, announced he will leave his position in January. Bongino thanked President Trump, Attorney General Bondi, and Director Patel for the opportunity. AI regulation crisis. Democratic Senator Ed Markey introduced legislation targeting Trump's executive order issued last week that aims to override state AI laws. The State Right to Regulate Artificial Intelligence Act would block federal funds from implementing Trump's order. Markey called Trump's order an illegal power grab, expressing confidence that courts would overturn it while emphasizing Congress must also act. Healthcare tensions. The Department of Health and Human Services terminated 7 grants to the American Academy of Pediatrics, totaling millions of dollars. This decision followed the Academy's lawsuit against Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. over vaccine policy. The cancelled grants supported initiatives to reduce sudden infant death, improve adolescent health, and prevent birth defects like fetal alcohol syndrome. International tensions, UK communication. Trump held a phone call with UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer Wednesday afternoon, discussing Ukraine's need for strength against Russian aggression. Trump also warmly described his recent meeting with Prince William in Paris. Venezuela's response. Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro said Trump's statements revealed the true intentions of the United States. Maduro declared, "Not migration, not drug trafficking, not democracy, not human rights. It was always about our natural wealth, our oil, our energy, resources that belong only to the Venezuelan people. Economic reality, check rising unemployment, persistent inflation." Since Trump's April Liberation Day tariffs, monthly job gains have averaged just 17,000. The unemployment rate has risen from 4% in January to 4.6%. Inflation has climbed from 2.3% in April to 3%. An NPR PBS News Marist poll shows Trump's economic approval at a new low of 36%. The cost of living weighs heavily on Americans. With 2026 midterm elections approaching, Republican losses in November raised questions about Trump's coalition durability. Tax refund promise. Trump promised Americans would receive larger tax refunds next year through his Big Beautiful Plan. He also announced Trump accounts for children born between 2025 and 2028. Venezuela blockade consequences. Global oil market impact. According to Kepler data, at least 34 sanctioned oil tankers are currently sailing in the Caribbean, with 12 reportedly carrying Venezuelan oil. Venezuela produces approximately 900,000 barrels of crude oil and condensate daily in 2025, representing about 1% of global supply. China purchases 76% of Venezuelan oil. The US imported approximately 17% of production in 2025, half the 2024 rate. Crude oil prices fell to their lowest levels since 2021 on Tuesday, but Trump's Venezuela pressure campaign lifted prices from those lows on Wednesday. US crude futures rose more than 1%. Pressure on Maduro regime. According to Francisco Monaldi, director of the Latin America Energy Program at Rice University's Baker Institute, the blockade could devastate Venezuela's already struggling economy and increase pressure on Maduro. The key question is how far and how long the US will maintain this blockade. If Venezuela's oil exports drop by half or more, the country would quickly fill its storage capacity and be forced to reduce production. Restarting production requires time and money, typically about a year. Congressional Stance Connecticut, Senator Chris Murphy noted that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and Secretary of State Marco Rubio provided different justifications in a Tuesday classified briefing. Murphy said officials acknowledged that fentanyl doesn't actually come from this region. Murphy emphasized Trump exceeded his authority by essentially declaring war on Venezuela without explicit congressional approval under the pretext of a drug threat. Only Congress, only the American people can authorize war, he said. And there's no question, these are acts of war. 2026 midterms outlook. Republican departures. Representative Dan Newhouse announced he won't seek re-election in 2026. After voting to impeach Trump following the January 6, 2021 insurrection, Newhouse survived primary challenges in 2022 and 2024. Now, after winning 2 elections, he's leaving Congress before the upcoming midterms. This represents part of a wave of Republican retirements ahead of midterm elections. Democratic strategy. Democrats are attacking Trump with the President Musk label after Elon Musk led efforts to block a bipartisan government funding bill last week. Trump dismissed these criticisms at a Turning Point USA event in Phoenix, saying Musk did a tremendous job. Conclusion. As Trump's second-term first year nears its end, major turbulence marks both domestic and foreign policy. The Venezuela blockade threat and tanker seizures escalate regional tensions while economic indicators validate voter concerns. Inflation persists, unemployment rises, and Trump's approval ratings decline. The 2026 midterm elections will test Trump and the Republican Party. Democrats hope to repeat their November victories using themes of grocery costs and economic hardship. The Venezuela crisis represents far more than an oil dispute. It's a massive geopolitical gamble, testing the limits of Trump's America First rhetoric, pushing beyond international law and diplomacy while shaking global energy markets. The coming months will reveal whether this bold move brings prosperity to America or unexpected consequences.